On tonight's program, ladies and gentlemen, we have something that's going to make you sick.
Hello. Welcome back to our podcast, Two Truths at a Bra. It's your favorite girl, Sharon, and I am joined by my really cool, really amazing, really fabulous alter egos and some two random guys. I'm playing.
We just became random suddenly.
Imagine.
Yeah, this podcast is between me, my alter egos, and you guys are guests. You guys are here for the show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're back, and we have a pretty crazy, controversial topic today. But before we get into that, I want to check in. Takunda, Dylan, how are you guys?
Fabulous. Just a bit cold, but I'm fine.
I don't know. Do you want me to be honest today, or you want me to be? True. What do you want me to be?
Be honest. Be honest. The name of the podcast.
Yeah,
is
Two Truths. Come on.
What you saying? Tinekangu ka botoro and Victoria is.
Oh wow.
But I'm G.
Great.
G.
Great.
Nice. I'm G.
Okay. That's
now,
lovely.
Wait, let me change the lie now. That was the truth. Now the lie. I'm chilled. That's the lie.
Okay.
I'm chilled. Yeah.
But you're quarter to lit.
Cheers.
What's in the bottle? What's in the cup? Sorry, what's in the cup?
Too many questions. Lakunda. Let it go, bro. Let it go. Let it go.
Okay, great. I'm good. Thanks for asking.
No, you look good, so we already knew. We already knew, so we already knew. There's no need to ask.
That's true. Okay, so before we get into our episode today, we are going to start with a moral dilemma, which Takunda is going to give us. And yeah, really excited to hear what we have for today. Takunda, let me know whenever you're ready.
No,
but before that, though, before Takunda goes on to talk about his moral dilemma, the moral dilemma that we had last week, I started asking people about it, right? Like I went around asking random people, what do you scheme? Would you kill a person or not?
Yeah.
Technically, it's about killing people. Well, but I asked it the way Shane asked it, of course. And I realized that a lot of Zimbabweans are serial killers, Like a lot of serial killers. That's the I was like, I'll push. That second thought, bro. It seems like I don't know who's giving me a second thought. But yeah, man.
No, but it's a matter of equity. It's a matter of equity. What outcomes do you want? Have the proper outcomes that help you in your cause. So for today's moral dilemma,
I realized that empathy is subjective. But
not true. It is.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
But then for today's moral dilemma, it's quite an interesting one. I'm gonna put you in a setting where you're working for this big huge company with your friend, and sometimes you guys share passwords, and you guys are like a really really close friends. So let's say you work with me, right, and we share our passwords amongst each other. Then one day you have to use the computer, but you don't have your computer. My computer is there. I'm not at work. Then you get on my computer. So you open your friend's computer, you log in, you do your thing. As you are there, you then find out that your friend has been using the work internet, right, to watch football matches during work hours. Now, you have to report that in terms of the company policy. So first step is, are you going to report your friend for watching football matches during work hours on the work internet? Sharon, I see you're itching.
No way. Mark, don't you think it's about podcast fun? Because like whatever I say.
I don't even say
I'm not reporting it for now.
Wait, is that the full dilemma? Is that the full dilemma?
No, it's not full. It's just the first stage.
Okay.
Okay, it's the first step. Okay, cool,
So in
cool.
No,
answer,
but
do
no,
I
no,
report
but give me
him?
an honest answer. I don't want to curate. Don't give me a curated answer because you know
Mhm.
it's going to change in the future. Give me your answer for
Mm.
now.
Okay. Okay, so the question is, do I report him for violating the company's policy by using our Wi-Fi
Yeah,
to
and
watch
watching,
soccer matches?
yeah, to watch soccer matches.
No, I don't.
Okay, so Sharon is not going to. Oh, wow.
Just like that. Just like that, Sean. Not even a moment of consideration could he.
Imagine. I don't
The
think I'm.
I'm
company-
trying to empathize with my homie.
I'm not going to employ
That is the
Sharon.
company. Yeah, I'm gonna employ Sean.
As my friend says, shout out to Casey. Corporate is not your friend. So
Not true.
I'm empathizing with my homeboy, my colleague.
Dylan.
Boss, we'll even watch that soccer together, to be honest.
So you're not
We'll watch
reporting.
that soccer together. I'm not reporting. Shit.
Okay, cool.
I don't know. Wait, before we go on, what did we say about language in this podcast? Me, I'm always confused. Am I allowed to swear or not?
Well, it's a family-friendly environment, and we
Oh,
always.
damn. All right,
Hey, I mean,
sorry.
every family has that uncle or that drunk uncle who always swears at everyone.
Right.
At the
First
braai.
of
I mean,
all-
and that's you. That's you
Yeah,
at the braai, so-
exactly.
First of all, I'm not drunk. Second of all, I'm not an uncle. Me, I'm too young to be an uncle. But continue.
Oh, you mean you're too young to an uncle, bro? You're an uncle already.
I'm actually an uncle of two, like,
You
yeah,
check
continue.
Uncle
Mini
D.
company.
Okay, so you guys said you don't report if the guy is watching football matches. He's watching the Euros during work hours.
Oh, during work hours.
Yeah.
It's coming home. It's coming home.
Yeah, I don't report him.
Okay. Now, what happens if you don't find football, but you find that he's been downloading porn, and it's not like that type of like blue movie type of porn. It's the gory stuff. What are you
Do
doing?
I
That's
report
it.
him?
Do you report him to your workplace, or do you go to him and I don't know?
Before
Talk to him.
Sharon speaks,
Mm-hmm.
I know that I've always wanted to know this perspective, and I feel like it might be one of the topics that we're going to talk about, porn. I feel like women have a different perspective to porn as to guys. I'm actually realizing this. I've never actually had a conversation about it with a woman. So I'm really, really curious to hear Sharon's answer.
Okay.
Okay, no pressure.
Just to comment, just a fly note. I've once had conversations with women about porn, and they're quite riveting, to be honest.
Really?
They are quite riveting. The things
Well,
women
Sharon, you're my
look for,
first.
they're quite riveting. But let's go back. So you find your friend has
Yeah.
been downloading porn. It's with a woman, it's a man, it's they, wherever they are. They've been downloading gory, like that hardcore, like the sick kind of porn. Are you reporting?
Mhm. I'm definitely.
Takuna, wait. Takuna, can I add a question?
No, you can't.
Sharon.
No,
that's
you
it.
no, you can't.
Okay. Damn.
can't.
Let
Let Sharon shine.
Thank
Let
you.
Sharon shine, please.
Go. Shine, Karen.
Yay.
Flourish, go. Flourish.
I'm more likely to speak to him first
Why
as a
do you
point of
him?
departure than I am.
Why does it have
Eh?
to be him?
That's what I was going to ask. Does it matter
Because
if
you
it's
kept
him or
saying,
her?
"Do you report him?"
That's my question. That's
No,
my
I also
question.
said
Does it matter if it's
they.
him or her?
I said it's they
Yeah,
as
you
well.
actually said
Oh,
that.
okay.
I said they.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Stereotypes.
Bias. This is me confronting my bias.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm having a conversation with them first. Not my point of departure is not to report. But the content of that conversation would be I don't think you should be downloading porn on work Wi-Fi.
Oh, so she'll be working.
Doing
She'll be
what?
downloading. She'll be downloading from the home Wi-Fi or what?
Yeah, download from the cabins. I don't know. Hack your neighbors. I don't.
Use the neighbor's item.
Dylan, are you reporting? Please tell me you're reporting.
She's not reporting. Full stop. I guess she got that answer. The silence there. The silence of the lambs. I'm joking. But the silence there is shows that she's not reporting.
No, but are you reporting?
Personally, no. Do you, bro? Like, honestly, all right. For if there's company Wi-Fi, is the company saying that the Wi-Fi is used for this and this alone?
Yeah,
That's an important question we have to ask
the
ourselves.
company policy is very clear. You must use the company assets for company business. You can't use them for personal use.
I'm not reporting because if they don't want it for personal use, then they should do a better job at follow up on that statement. It's the same thing. If the country puts a law to say no smoking, the law should follow up on that law. Now don't expect citizens to be like, hey, bruh, no smoking, bruh. Nah, bruh. If you smoke, you get arrested. Simple. The company should put a policy to say, hey, use company Wi-Fi for this situation. If you violate it, these are the consequences. But me personally, I am not going to report.
So you guys are not going to follow, because the company policy says if you must report any infringements or breaking away from the policy, and you guys are just not going to report. Wow. I think I'm hanging out with the criminals here. You guys are most likely to break rules.
We went to Prince Edward School, where rules and tradition were the bread and butter. Like, it was more important than our education. To come to school without a hat was a major thing. But I know if Gumu comes without a hat, I'm looking for a hat for Gumu, bro. Like, I'm gonna take a hat from a youngster so I can give it to Gumu so that he doesn't take it.
No, but that's true. But that's a different scenario. It's the same
scenario. I don't want you to get into trouble because you're my homie. Remember your situation said your homie. If it wasn't my homie, bro, I'm tuning, hey, bro, stop doing what you're doing. But you, my homie, bro. Do you, bro? If boss come and ask me, if the boss comes and asks me, was Takunda Gumu watching items on the internet? I was doing, watching what? No, he's a proper man, bro. He's a proper Christian man.
It's a pious man.
He doesn't do those things.
He doesn't do those things. I will defend you with my heart and soul, because you're my homie.
Lovely. I appreciate you for that, man. I appreciate you.
You see.
Now, right? Remember, the company policy is that you must report if you find an infringement. So there are 2 steps left. The second step is this now. You find out that your friend has been stealing company information and using it to gain money somewhere.
Why am I homies with this person?
Right.
First of all.
So this person, right? They've been stealing company information and using it for personal gain. So they're taking customer details, they're taking trademarks, they're taking trade secrets and using them for their own side business. And you don't know about this side business, so you're not benefiting from it. Are you reporting that?
Am I having a conversation with him first? Or her?
No, are you reporting yes or no? In this scenario, you either report or you don't.
But...
Who are you asking?
Dylan, are you reporting or not?
I'm going first. All right, I have been in a similar situation, similar sort of, and Takuna, you probably know this situation, where I've been in a situation.
I was hoping not to know it.
I don't know right names, but I don't want to say names. But there's a situation whereby I had an obligation, right? And in this obligation here, this person did something that was over the top. But now we, as brothers, so to speak, we're in a situation where we have to protect each other, right? You tell a person one time, they don't listen. You tell a person twice, they don't listen. Now you tell a person 3 times, you don't listen. Am I reporting? No. But if this person gets caught or gets in trouble with the authorities, I've told you 3 times, bro. I've told you 3 times. Do it once, do it twice, or even don't get caught in your lifetime. Cool. But the 3rd time I'm telling you I'm not involved. If you get caught the 6th time, I'll still defend you.
No, but
I'll still
Dylan,
defend you.
but Dylan,
The first time I'll be like,
wait,
no,
just,
the first
just
time I'm
hold up,
like,
hold up,
the first time I'm
wait.
like, Kuna doesn't do that stuff. The first time I'm like, Kuna doesn't do that stuff. He's pious, he's a Christian man.
Okay,
Second
no,
time,
no,
I'm
that's
like,
cool.
okay,
You're
maybe he
defending your
does.
friend's
Uh-huh.
honor. You're defending your friend's honor. But the rules on you, the rules to report is on you. Why are you not
Yes.
reporting? How does that affect you if you don't report? You must be reporting, bruv.
Because, right, this goes to the fact that you said homie. That's why I said in the first scenario, you said a homie.
Yeah, it's your
A
homie.
person who's a homie with me, a person who's a homie with me is a person I know. Is a person that I know is a good person. I'm a homie with a person because I know that this person is good. It goes back to my character. Yesterday actually, someone told me that you're friends with a person that are similar to you. You attract people to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're my homie, I know that you're a good person. Full stop. So that means first time you do something, I'm going to protect you. Second time you do something, I'm probably going to be like, okay, 50-50. The third time I tell you stop and you've done it, that's when I'm going to be like, hey, bro, I've told you. You get caught, that's your problem. I'm not going to report, but you're my homie for a reason.
Okay, fine. Let me hear Sharon. Let me hear Sharon on this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you and I have been in these situations quite a number of times. So you're getting a bit emotional on this one. So let me get Sharon. Let me get Sharon. Sharon, are you reporting this person is stealing company information? And they're making guap for it. And they're not sharing that guap with you. I gotta be clear, they're not sharing that guap with you.
Yes. You want am I reporting or am I not reporting answer? I want to give you a different one, but you won't let me.
Yeah, no, I want, are you reporting? Are you not reporting? You can qualify your answer.
I'm not reporting.
Okay, qualify your answer.
I could eventually report, but like I said, as a point of departure, I'm speaking to my homie. And I'm like, yo, I just found out that you're ganking company secrets, intellectual property, whatever it is for your personal gain. And that's not allowed, number one, by company policy. But also, it's just criminal. So stop doing that, because I don't want to have to be obliged to report you, because as you know, company policy would compel me to report you, and I don't want to do that. So before it gets there, I want you to stop first.
Okay, fine.
And to prove that you stopped.
All right. You guys gave me very mature answers, but I don't think that's true. I think you guys would report. Man, this is the last one.
Really? Would you report?
I'm just gonna say, guys, I'll report you guys, but I know for a fact you guys won't report me. So I'm gonna break. I'm gonna break.
I wouldn't. Honestly,
I thought we were tied like that.
I would never.
No, I really thought we
in my
were
life that my homies have done.
Look,
yeah, exactly.
We are so tight to the point that I want what's good for you. So I will let the law take its course in in this case, the rules.
I can't believe this is you speaking, honestly.
Well, experience will say otherwise. No, experience, true life will say otherwise.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then the last scenario is this.
Mm-hmm.
You find out that your friend, that you thought your friend is your friend, is actually not who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You actually find out that they're not who they say they are. And this person is actually some spy or something, trying to destroy your country. And there's some super spy. Yeah, let's call him super spy. Jack Bauer. No, it's Jack Bauer here. You find out that. Are you reporting that to the cops or not? Are you dialing 911? Are you dialing?
Call the cops.
You're dialing 911?
Call the cops. Cut the cameras.
Okay.
Dialing 911 on the spot.
Dylan, are we calling 911?
I believe in the fact that you need to talk to people. And
bruv, what do you mean talk to people? This is a spy, bruv. They could kill you for knowing that they're not who they say they are. Are you going to talk to the homie?
Yeah, what if his intention was not to be a spy on my behalf? What if we bumped into each other? Him as a spy doesn't mean that he was my friend. You know what I mean? maybe he wasn't using me as a cover, but we just happened to become friends during his mission as a spy. Cool, he was lying. He was lying about his other life. Doesn't mean that he was lying about being my friend. You know what I mean? So, dude, I wouldn't really care as much until I have this conversation with this person and say, "Yo, were we really homies?" That's the question that's the conversation I have. It goes back to my whole thing of saying that the only way the world can get better is if we have conversations. Let's talk, bro. Sit down, have a beer. Let's talk. Let's see. Pour out your real self, your vulnerable self. Let's have a conversation.
Hectic. You know. Today,
No way.
I read a chapter, and Malcolm Gladwell's Talking Strangers, and this is where I actually got the idea of the moral dilemma, because he's talking about there was a guy who he committed some crimes, and a lot of people defended him, even though those crimes he actually did them. Right. And he's talking about how we have a truth bias. We assume that people will tell us the truth. Even when we're lying, they're lying to us. And often we don't see what when other people are lying to us, because we have certain things that we can tell that we used to tell if a person is lying, right? And if those things are not present, we won't be able to tell if a person is lying.
The whole what's his name? R. Kelly situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, but it's quite interesting that you guys are willing to break the law. Dylan is willing to break the law all the way through. And Sharon, your country is your most loved possession. You will not let your country down. We love the patriotism. No. We love the patriotism, but I just need to get some clarity. I hope this is not you campaigning for 2023.
Oh, of course not. It's not me doing that at all.
Hey.
I'll let you know when I am.
Oh, okay. All right. I love this.
No, I'm playing.
I love the stuff. I think, that wraps up our moral dilemma for today. But I just want to assure you guys that I would defend you when I think it's appropriate. But when I think you've gone too far, I think if you're still in company information, I will talk to you first and then go report you.
Okay.
Actually, I will encourage you to report yourself. That's the honest. Yeah, that's the honest answer.
As long as you speak to me first.
Man, bro, you're my homie, bro. You can get away with anything, to be honest. I want to get away with murder. Be my homie. Full stop.
Icho.
That's scary.
Icho.
Because I trust you, my homie, for a reason, no?
Yeah, but yo.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I suppose that's a whole different conversation about what friendship actually entails.
Exactly,
yeah. So I'm going to get into today's topic. We are talking about... We are talking... So we're talking about this crazy thing called social media activism, aka slacktivism, aka reactionary activism. And for me to sort of outline what that looks like, I'm going to give you a scenario, right? So let's just say your friend, Dylan, your friend from Indonesia, tells you this is, something crazy just happened in Indonesia. We have this crazy civil unrest taking place right now. People are being killed. It's actually minorities from the religious group that I belong to. Takunda, same situation. Any homie of yours, maybe in Namibia or here in Zim, right? And they're like, yo, it's crazy. And we just need to try and raise as much awareness as possible online because no one's really listening on the ground, right? So here's a ton of infographics that we have for Instagram. I need you to post this on your story right now. Tweet about it. Use this hashtag, the Zimbabwean Lives Matter. And you think, okay, cool, I'm going to support my friend. Or you think, okay, cool, I don't think it would change anything. I want to know, which side of the spectrum do you fall on? Are you likely to post it up, or are you like to just think this even if I post it, I'm not going to change anything? Which side are you falling on?
I
I'm
think Takumi
definitely,
should go first on this one.
I'm not posting because it's not going to be effective. I'm
Okay,
definitely,
so you're on that, spectrum of life. Okay, interesting.
no, I'm on that spectrum of life when it comes to social media, because
Social media.
look, I used to post back in the day. I think me not posting instead of the BLM, because I just kept on asking myself, this is just it's like a vicious cycle.
Mm.
It's like a vicious cycle. These things just keep. It's the same thing. Sometimes different hashtags. If you remember with Zim, there was this flag campaign. What else
The
was it?
Zim Lives Matter.
Yeah, there was Zimbabwean
Yeah.
Lives Matter. There was another one, Save Zimbabwe. Then there was hashtag ZANU
Yeah.
must go. There's so many
Mm.
hashtags on the same issues, dealing with corruption, dealing with no respect for the rule of law, and those all kind of political instabilities and disturbances in Zim, right? There was even the hashtag fair, hashtag God is in it, hashtag CCC, hashtag ED, hashtag that. All those things.
Even there was the Dem Loot item.
Yes, hashtag Demloot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Demloot. That song was actually funny, hey.
Yeah, you
Banger.
can challenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Banger.
Yeah. So for me, from a perspective, I just looked at myself as it's the same thing over and over and again. You cannot hashtag a movement. You cannot hashtag him. I don't see it happening. And the problem with hashtag movements is most of the time they only appeal to a small section of the community. That is that's a section that is on social media. Now, if you think about social media penetration in Africa, it's poor. It's poor in most instances. Into just internet penetration, not social media penetration. Internet penetration is around like 50-60%. Those are usually the numbers you get around Africa. I had the numbers on Zim some time ago, I think it was 50s or 60s, if I'm not mistaken. And that way you appeal to a very small section of people, because hashtags are actually only viral on Twitter. Hashtags are not as viral on Facebook or on Instagram or YouTube. They're not as viral as they are on Twitter. So Twitter already is a minority social media platform in most instances. So
even I don't have
see, like Dylan doesn't have Twitter, which is very sad.
Yeah. Very sad. Very sad
sad.
indeed.
Very sad, backward, and a cake, and
yeah, wow,
all those things.
It's for a certain reason.
Barbarian. Which is?
Were you involved in a twab before, then you left Twitter?
No,
Someone dragged
never. I've never been on Twitter because of people like you who become all political and shit.
But you get what I mean. You get what I mean. That like we're just coming here to just type a movement. I mean, yes, fair and fine. We do raise an awareness. We get international people involved and blah blah blah, and people know like what's happening in Zim. Even with the Free Palestine movement, the hashtag didn't end the bombarding of Palestine. Sorry, the bombarding of Gaza, or the rockets that have been fired to Israel. It didn't end those things. It was the political parties, the political individuals, or when I say parties, not just an organization, but like the people involved from a political perspective, that stopped the hostilities, right? Not the hashtag movement. I mean, if you take, for example, the Zim Lives Matter hashtag, you had Tandy Newton. She comes on and she's gotten on this fire on Zim Lives Matter. God save her soul. She means well, but I also feel that she's grossly misinformed, and I feel one of those things is that she's following the hashtags, which sometimes are often removed from reality. So yeah, but she to be fair to her, she's actually doing quite a number of very respectable things. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned something really interesting about how sometimes whatever content is attached to a particular hashtag doesn't necessarily reflect facts or the reality. And sometimes it can be misleading. I think we'll talk about that later. Dylan, I want to hear from you. Your homies just told you, dude, Zimbabwe is going through this hectic time. Zimbabwean lives matter.
Support.
We're in the middle of a pandemic. Times are tough. Are you posting it up?
The thing is, you're asking a question that I've witnessed firsthand. So for me, it's not really a question, but I'm speaking from experience.
Mm-hmm.
My experience was I'm gonna educate the people that listen to this podcast now, because hashtag they must know. So I live in Indonesia, where they believe in unity and diversity. That's one of their mottos. Indonesia has what they call the Pancasila, which is 5 common laws that make up the whole constitution. So there are 5 principles, so to speak, that were made by the founding fathers. And one of them is literally, they must know, which is the second one.
Okay.
Sorry, not they must know, sorry, unity and diversity.
I was like, what?
People. The second one is
Yeah,
called
I was also
unity and
wondering what's going on
diversity.
here.
Imagine,
This was
this
tuning
can get
lies
me
on
killed.
the podcast. 2 lies that are
This can get me killed. Yeah. So the second one is called unity and diversity. The first one, they call it Tuhan Maha Esa, which means that God is for all, kind of thing, right? So it's literally the second after God is like, unity and diversity. And why they said this is because Indonesia is a country made up of different races, different religions, and different kinds of people, right? In different races, there was recently a situation where you have the Papuanese, people from Papua. I think you all know the Papua New Guinea, right?
Yeah.
Papua New Guinea. But now you have the Papuans, well, not from Papua New Guinea, but Papuans who live in Indonesia. Now, these people that are from Papua, even it's an island within Indonesia, they are Black. Okay, so they're Black. We could say Black Asians, but they're Black, right? To the extent where people see me in Indonesia and they think I'm from Papua. That's how dark skinned they are. So now you have a situation where Indonesians are lighter skinned, right? In Indonesia, they call it
you're not that dark, bro.
I'm not that dark.
I was about to say that.
I'm not that dark, but me in Asia,
dark,
it's dark. But me in Asia, I'm dark. You know what I mean? Because me in Asia, I'm actually representing the whole of Africa. It's like if you won't go to Africa, if any African goes to Asia, right? Good luck living up to my standards.
Oh gosh.
Get out of here, man.
I'm serious. My point is, Indonesia, they have Papuans, right? So Papuans are Indonesians who are dark-skinned, and they face a whole lot of discrimination because they're darker than everyone else. So they face a whole lot of discrimination. So there came a time where there was a movement by these Papuanese who wanted to break away from Indonesia. So not only is this a social issue, but it's a political issue. And the fact that people think, since I'm dark-skinned for Asian, since they wanted me to participate and support, or they expected me to support the Papuanese, right? And for me, did I directly or at the moment support them instantly? No. Because I don't know the history of Indonesia as much as I should in order for me to just start supporting them.
Yeah.
I feel like every movement starts from the history. The problem I had with the Black Lives Matter movement, yes, let's get controversial. The problem I had with the Black Lives Matter movement is that it came from a good cause. A lot of people think that the Black Lives movement started from the George Floyd situation, which is wrong. The Black Lives Matter movement started from a history of brutality, not only police brutality, but racism. But that George Floyd situation was a situation that people were like, yo, enough is enough. That's what set the movement. But now a lot of people think that the Black Lives Matter movement was because of George Floyd, which is not true. So
Mhm.
before I support a movement or before I support an activism way of life, let's look at the history. Where is it coming from exactly? Do I believe in this? We live in a situation, we live in a world where people look at the cover, the icing, before they look at the cake, which I feel is very, very, very dangerous. A lot of people want to cancel Eminem for his music. Let's go back in history and find out how much of a poet Eminem actually is. Let's go back and see
But
why he's so
his
famous.
music is still misogynistic. It's still harmful. It doesn't change the
Very
fact. It
true.
doesn't change the fact. I
Very
mean, the
true.
things he sang about his wife,
Mhm.
I just I sat down. I was actually a few days ago. I was rather singing one of Eminem's songs. I'm like, yo, but this content is kind of it's kind of
Me too.
wrong.
And that's me
It's
every
kind of
day.
wrong. You know what
That's
I
me
mean?
every day. I am a stan, and I admittedly say that I am a stan. I know the deepest Eminem songs that you could ever imagine, and they are misogynistic. But he actually has some songs where it's like, yo,
Move yourself to the music the moment
you
you
see
want to
now.
keep it in
But
Mm.
Takunda, you
LA.
can attest, even Karen, you can attest to this. He has some song where it says, I'm rapping this stuff because I'm expressing myself on what I went through.
No,
I'm
true,
not saying this for you to
true.
follow.
True, but I mean, it reminds me of that video of Tupac where he's in the first few seconds he goes like, "I have
Oh
so
yeah,
much
yeah, yeah.
respect
That's
for
a song.
women. My respect for women is so much up there," and talking. Then the next thing goes,
Mm.
"We don't love them hoes."
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
that's life. It's
Mm.
like, but then,
But my point of all this is before you get a movement, before you want to say something in the hashtag something, know the
Mhm.
history.
yeah,
So
but
do you actively do that? Do you actively research the
All the
history of a
time.
particular movement?
All the time. And for those who follow me on my Instagram, Dylan H90MK, for those who are listening, for those who follow me on my Instagram, you know that I have a Wednesday conversation with people. Why do I have that Wednesday conversation? So that I can get more informed before I stand for something. And I could be very controversial in those Wednesday segments where I talk to people because I want, before I go for a movement, I want everyone to know what exactly we're talking about. So yes,
Mhm.
I research before I post anything, no matter who it is for. Actually, one of my problems that I had with my ex-girlfriend is that she had a fight with a girl. She had a fight with a girl. And she was like, since you're my boyfriend,
yes, spill the
support me.
tea. Please spill the tea, baby.
We
Spill the
like
tea.
it.
My girlfriend would like support me because I'm fighting this girl. That means you should not talk to her. But I'm that person who's like, no, I want to hear her side of the story as well.
No, but you
You're
must
my
support
girlfriend, yes.
you must support your girl, bruv. You must
Support your
support your
husband
girl.
blindly.
Yeah. Anyway, that's gonna be another conversation when you have a conversation, dating, whatever.
No,
But my point is, know before you go in.
yeah, no, but that's true. I mean, that brings me back to what I was saying in the beginning. Why I'm no longer a hashtag person, because I look at the Black Lives Matter movement. A lot of people like were hashtagging BLM, but BLM hashtag I think started as far back as 2016 when Donald Trump was trying to run for president.
Probably 2011, actually, if I'm not mistaken. That's when it started.
The
It was
actual
really, it took a long time.
Yeah, you see what I'm talking about. So like police brutality in the United States started way back. I mean, we've watched so many. You saw movies. It's in movies. There are documentaries about the Rodney King riots in LA. Then you have the Juice, the man himself, O.J. Simpson. It was a very racial case. So police brutality in the States didn't start with George Floyd. The police brutality in the States didn't start it didn't start like just now. It's something that's been there for a while, and it's not going to change because I'm hashtagging, or it's not going to change because J. Cole has hashtag. It's not going to change because Dave Chappelle has gone and done in a hashtag. This is a direct
Okay.
sub
Yeah,
to
I have to
Don Lemon.
disagree. But yeah.
But it's not going to change. I mean, nothing's going to change because people are hashtagging. That's my point. I'm not saying Black lives don't matter. No, am I saying Zimbabwean lives don't matter, or these other hashtags don't help, or like the Me Too movement, for example. That's a good hashtag to use. The Me Too movement is a hashtag that had a good intention, but the delivery ended up actually harming, in my opinion, harming our society. So when it comes to hashtags, for me, it's I don't think they're effective to bring about change. They can bring about conscientization of those who don't know, but not to bring about change. Don't think a hashtag is going to bring about change.
Okay, Dylan, you said you disagree with something. What is it that you don't agree with?
I disagree when you said the celebrities thing.
Tell me, because
I
that's
both
about my next
agree and
question.
disagree. And I'm sure everyone has watched the Chappelle thing where as soon as the Black Lives Matter thing was done. That's one of my favorite.
It's called
or should I say
846. You can find it on YouTube.
Thank you. You can also find it on Spotify. Sorry, Netflix. Why I loved that show by Dave Chappelle is because it really spoke about what I've always been saying, that at the end of the day, we're all human beings with all different opinions. You know how people see Beyonce and they say, no, whatever Beyonce says is true. Whatever Rihanna says is true. I believe that's right in some certain stances. In a situation where we're talking about Black people as a whole, and the Black people already have power, you having a celebrity can in some way, shape, or form take away their power. But in a situation where you need that power, you get it. For example, in a society, there's some things that the society can achieve on its own without a government. And there's some things that the government needs to help in. For example, if you look at the Zimbabwean education system, you have private schools and you have government schools. Private schools can or are manifested from a certain level of privilege or can make a certain difference or change in society. And then for those less fortunate, the government steps in. If you understand what I'm saying. So there's some things where you need these celebrities and influencers to come in. For example, if you look at the company Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola doesn't need no celebrities to endorse them. Cristiano Ronaldo can literally go and put away 2 bottles of Coca-Cola. It doesn't mean that Coca-Cola will stop selling stuff. But if you have Coca-Cola, if you're Cristiano Ronaldo putting away 2 bottles of Castle Lager, Zimbabwean economy is dead. So there's some things in society where you need celebrities, and there's some things in society where you don't need celebrities. So now what Takunda said about not needing influencers and celebrities altogether, yeah, that's a tough one.
Okay, so here's my next question. Branching off what Dylan just said, in this conversation and in this context of social media activism and famous people, so celebrities, number one, and number two, influencers, people who have a large following, do you think those people have an obligation to post about a particular movement so that it gains traction? Do you think those people should participate? Like, for example, the Black Lives Matter movement. At some point, people were like, we're going to have this blackout, right? Just post a black picture on your Instagram to show your solidarity with this movement, or with Zimbabwean Lives Matter, hashtag Zimbabwean Lives Matter. It was an issue of how come our Zim artists are quiet? We're having to rely on one of Gabrielle Union and Tundi Newton and Yara Shahidi to post for us, but you people aren't even posting. You are the ones that live in this country and you know the issues, but you're not posting. So where do you think celebrities and people with like large followings should fall in this conversation?
If that celebrity or that influencer or whoever that person with a large following has not subscribed to this movement, they have not personally said that they agree with it, they have not been part of the movement, whether they are affected by the issue or not, as long as they themselves do not involve them with that movement, with that hashtag, or whatever that is that's going on, as long as they don't involve themselves, then they have no obligation towards anyone. As long as they don't make themselves the leader, they have no obligation to anyone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Dylan, what do you say?
For me, wait, let's hear. Takuna was saying because.
Yeah.
Because?
Carry on.
No, I'm saying because now it means that anything that makes me comfortable, I must then demand for Sharon and Dylan to agree with me.
They're looking for acknowledgement, basically.
Yeah, I'm looking for acknowledgement, and it's and to be very honest, that then infringes on my individuality. It infringes on my right to express myself. It infringes on my right to conscience. Because now you're saying I can't think for myself. I have to think and agree with you because we are sort of come from the same
Cloth.
yeah, from the same cloth. Maybe we might be from the same cloth, but the dirt on your side might be a little bit more dirt that's on my side. So I don't feel your pain. Don't expect me to feel your pain because we have different experiences.
Okay.
Although we are
Interesting.
we are the same, we might have different experiences. So I might not react the same way as you.
Okay. Dylan, how are you reacting?
I feel like that is a question that what Takuna said, that is a statement that depends on the situation. Because you can't say you can't feel the same pain when you're Zimbabwean. You get what I mean? Even if you're a Zimbabwean celebrity, if you're a Zimbabwean student.
Listen, I can tell you for a fact. I'm Zimbabwean. Bellarmine is Zimbabwean. Bellarmine Mugabe is not having the same problems I have.
You think he doesn't have the same problems? The problems might not be exactly the same, but she's still going through the same problems. No matter how rich that person is, when they leave Zimbabwe, they could be way richer. And they know that.
Yeah, they know that. But then look, there are people in Zim right now who are benefiting from corruption, people who support corruption in Zim, right? And they're living in Zim. And we will stand up and say, corruption must end in Zim. This must end. This thing is bad. This and this and this must end. And those very same people who are benefiting from the trough right now, they will stand and support it.
They're benefiting, but they're not benefiting as much as they can be, and that could be a trigger.
Yes, that's now subjective and relative. But the question is, if I can't go to them and say, feel my pain, scream on my behalf, because they don't feel my pain. They don't know how to scream.
They do. Okay. I'm not a sympathizer in any way, but there was a situation during the Zimbabwean Lives Matter. A lot of people, majority of Zimbabweans or majority of this person's supporters went against him. I'm talking about Job Praiser. Job Praiser, during the Zimbabwean Lives Matter, did not post or do anything to support the movement. This person is one of the biggest celebrities in Zimbabwe. True or false? True, right? He did not post or do anything in support of the Zimbabwean Lives Matter. And to make matters worse, he's a celebrity who, when he does his music videos, he's always wearing military gear, right? He's known for that. So automatically, people thought that, he's a ZANU-PF supporter. And because of that, he lost a lot of his followers, or a lot of people went against him because of that. Now, I personally was like, even though he didn't say anything, it's because he knows his position. He knows it's okay to be neutral. People forget this. A lot of people forget this. A lot of people forget that even if you're a celebrity, doesn't mean you have to take a side. Honestly, one day, either I, Takunda, or Sharon are going to be famous. Now imagine you being forced to take a side in a situation. Why can't you be neutral? That is a very, very okay thing to do because you're still a human being. Just because you're doing something you love and you get recognition for it, doesn't mean you should be put under pressure for it. Again, I'm not a Job Praiser sympathizer, but at the same time, I'm like, let the man be. Like, he doesn't have a side to choose on, right? It actually affected him when after the I'm going to say after the Zimbabwean Lives Matter movement, even though it's still going on, but like, when it died down to some extent, he was a nominee for some award. And then he posted on his Instagram that, can you all go support me, blah, 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 blah. And then a lot of the comments were like, but you didn't support us during the Zimbabwean Lives movement, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, seriously?
Damn.
So you're going to bring down one of our own because of a stance that he took? Is that really fair? Of which he didn't even take a stance, but to people, because he didn't say anything, he took a stance. Is that really fair?
No, it's not.
Right?
It's not fair.
Exactly.
Not at all. I mean, but...
but this... Okay, sorry, Takunda. There's something Dylan mentioned that I want to pick up on, and then you can carry on, which is you're allowed to be neutral. And I think there's a lot of people that won't agree with that. And we usually find when it comes to these social justice movements online, people tend to quote, I think it's Martin Luther King Jr., who said something about how silence is complicity. So if you're quiet, if you're not saying anything in the midst of violence and oppression, it means you are on the side of the oppressor. And I've seen that for some reason, and this is me like making an uninformed assumption, but I want to assume that in these social justice movements, that quote probably is posted more. You know, like people tend to be like, yo, if you're not posting, it means you're complicit. If you're silent, it means, you know, you're on the side of the oppressor. And the question is that true? And that's the thing that Dave Chappelle does speak about in that show you were talking about. 846, exactly. If I'm quiet about something, if I haven't posted, does that make me complicit in the injustice that's being taken, you know, that's happening or taking place?
I think there's that quote that you quoted, and there's the one where there's a narration, something like, I think they came for the Jews and I kept quiet. Then they came for the Nazis and they basically talk about groups of people, and finally they're the last group of people and there's no one to speak on their behalf. Look, that statement, keeping quiet in that scenario it can be harmful to in minority groups or even whoever is fighting for a social justice issue. It can be harmful, but it depends. What are you keeping quiet about? Right? If you take, for example, the Me Too movement, there was, speaking from let me curate it to what happened here in Namibia, right? So when the Me Too movement fire caught on into Namibia, you had these particular designated social media accounts, individuals on the accounts that people were sending anonymous messages to and saying, so and so raped me at such a place and blah 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 blah. Then this person would then go and post online without verifying any details, right? So that in itself is very harmful, because in as much as you want to create a platform for people who've suffered sexual harassment and sexual violence to come and speak, but the moment you just post whatever people send to you anonymously, you create an unsafe environment, because I can just text Dylan raped me, such a party, blah 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 blah. I sent, and it never happened, right? Now, if people then decide, this thing looks a bit, sketchy, I could end up being involved in things that could harm other people indirectly or directly. So I'm gonna keep quiet, right? Keeping quiet for that reason is fine. But then there are instances where you see a harm being done and you're in a position of power and you don't speak. Now that's perpetuating, or assisting or doubling up on the oppression. So it depends on what context do you shut up, because sometimes speaking out could be your own downfall. Fair and fine, it's okay, it's nice to support one another, but then I also have to think about myself, because if I speak up tomorrow I don't have a job, or I speak up tomorrow I'm in the gulag, then what?
True.
So this expectation that we have on other people to feel our pain is very unfair. Because I don't know how to put it in words. I can never feel another person's pain in as much as they feel it.
There's a quote by William Shakespeare in All's Well That Ends Well that says, be checked for silence, but never taxed for speech.
What does that mean? I'm not smart.
Which means, which speaks volumes to me. Be checked for silence, but never taxed for speech. Which means that if you're quiet during a certain situation, let people come to you and ask, what do you mean? Why are you quiet? What are your thoughts on this? instead of you speaking and people attacking you for it, now you have to defend yourself and defend what you
Okay.
mean. And I feel that when you start defending yourself, you might end up going over a certain board that you didn't expect to go. I'm sure we all did debate here or some type of public speaking where we say no to abortion, and then someone comes and says something, and then we end up saying things on the spot because we have to defend ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. But now it comes to a situation where you're just quiet. People will come and ask you, what are you thinking? And then you say what you're thinking on the spot. That's what I think that's my
Okay. So extending that quote and that analogy into this entire conversation about social media activism, sometimes people do get checked for their silence. Actually, a lot of times. And one such instance was last year when it was the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think part of a women's rights movement, if I'm not wrong. But basically, No Name, I don't know if you know her, but No Name tweeted, and she was calling out a few people who were silent, right? So she was checking these people. And her tweet read, "Poor Black folks all over the country are putting their bodies on the line in protest for our collective safety. And y'all favorite top-selling rappers not even willing to put up a tweet. Niggas' whole discographies be about Black plight, and they know where to be found," right? So there was this whole conversation about people thinking, of course, she's talking about J. Cole and maybe Kendrick.
Of course.
And J. Cole, came
and those are my favorite
song.
rappers, by the way, for those reasons that you're talking about.
I haven't given reasons yet, but we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about it. So J. Cole puts out his song "Snow on the Bluff," and part of the song, he's just saying, there's this really smart hun that's been talking about stuff, and she's educating people, and she sounds like she comes from a really educated background. That's another issue. No, I'm not saying she's not smart. That's between you and her. I know where you're coming from, but yeah. And he, part of the verse, he goes and he says, "But there's something about the Queen's tone that's bothering me," right? Yeah. So No Name, if you don't know her, she has been doing a lot of activism online, especially for Black women and for Black people in general. Okay. She's very vocal. And sometimes it could appear that she's being very aggressive, right, in her tone. And that's the thing that J. Cole allegedly was referring to in his song when he was saying there's something about the Queen's tone that's bothering me, right? Yeah. Maybe treat us like we're children, speak to us properly so we can learn a little bit better. And people said that was him policing her tone. I don't know if you know the term, but it's tone policing, right? So on one end, there's people reacting out of anger and they're saying, yo, F this injustice, F you people who are oppressing us, blah, 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 blah. And then other people who come and say, we understand what you're saying, but your tone's a bit too aggressive, so I can't hear you. My question to you is, first of all, do you think J. Cole was right or wrong in the way he responded to this Hans tweet and the way she called him out? And secondly, was she even justified in calling these people out? Because like you said, sometimes people don't really know what to say.
Who are you asking here?
Just for interest's sake, did Kendrick reply to that?
Of course not.
Not that I know of.
Of course not. He didn't.
He didn't say. He didn't even post, right? Did he?
No.
I don't think he did. No.
My king.
K dots.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but that brings me back to my question: is she's talking about these rappers who sing about Black lives and the Black plight in the United States of America, not coming out and speaking on the BLM hashtag. I mean, if you look at the work, the discography, if you look at the discography of J. Cole, of Kendrick Lamar, those are people who sing about the real issues of
their experiences.
Exactly, their experiences. We talk about Kendrick Lamar's live performances. I think it was at the Academy Awards or something, where he had the whole cop thing and in front of white people.
DNA, right? Was it the song DNA?
Yeah, I think there was a song DNA.
Oh, all right, we can be all right. Was it?
Oh yeah. No, I think you're. But you know what you remember. You have the picture in mind
Yes.
of that performance
Yes.
where they had like prisoners and stuff and chains and police
Yeah,
officers and
yes,
stuff
yes,
like
yes,
that
yes,
on the
yes,
stage
yes.
in front of white people. That is a statement larger
On its
than
own.
a hashtag. How you can then go on the internet and say this person is not pro-black because they haven't posted on their Instagram. Perhaps they didn't even have data, guys. You know what I mean?
No,
They didn't even
man.
have data. Now you're just saying this person doesn't believe in Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's for me, that's I had never heard of No Name before that.
Mhm.
Then I heard about it and I went to a page and I started reading a couple of things, started seeing her opinions on Black lives, on capitalism, and I realized that she might have a single view of these things, which makes it very difficult to engage. Because I mean, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie talks about this in a recent essay where she talks about that if you disagree in this day and age, on particularly in social media, if you disagree with a person, you're told to go educate yourself, right?
Yeah.
That you are also an oppressor. That you try. If you then say, "Look, try to educate me. Why don't you like approach it this way?" Then you're told you're tone policing. You're pushing for respectability politics, and it's.
Yeah.
I mean, let me just like pause here. I have a lot to say about respectability politics. There's a TEDx I listen to.
I know you do.
There's a TEDx I listen to, and I find it quite interesting. But I'll leave it for Dylan to speak now.
I think Sharon gave me the floor here. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I agree with Gumbo to some extent, not entirely, on what he was saying. I've been having this conversation. It turns out I've been having a lot of conversations in these past few weeks, but I've been having conversations where I've been talking about relationships. And I realized that a lot of people want people to react like how they react. If, let's say Sharon and I are dating, and Sharon wants a certain type of communication, she expects me to give that certain type of communication, which I feel personally, I feel is wrong. Don't expect me to react the way you want me to react. Let me react how I react. And that's the same thing with this hun. If you look at the discography of J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, these are my two favorite rappers. Kendrick Lamar is literally my second favorite rapper. J. Cole is my third favorite rapper. My first is Eminem. And I love these people because all the things they rap about are informed. They don't just go and start rapping. They literally, if you listen to, like if you properly listen, I know a lot of people say, I listen to J. Cole, listen to Kendrick, but if you properly listen to their music, you see how deep they are. And you can tell that these are from informed and experienced-based answers. So for this hun to be going and saying, why aren't you guys talking about it? It's probably because these people, I'm not saying that they haven't gone through it, but they're probably analyzing the situation first. We don't know what's going through their minds, to be honest, but they're probably analyzing the situation first. And then we don't know. Maybe they will speak about it. That's what Dave Chappelle did. Dave Chappelle, before he went and started speaking about Black Lives Matter, what did he do? He analyzed the situation. If you watched this this special that he did, you realize
846 on Netflix.
There we go. He's speaking from an informed space where he says, I've seen the situation, I've read the situation, and therefore this is my action towards the situation. So to the extent where he got called out by Don Lemon, and then he was like, bro,
tell us who Don Lemon is.
Don Lemon is, what is he?
He's a citrus.
Akunda has so many dad jokes, you guys. I wish you knew. This is probably his 10th dad joke of the week.
Hey, dad jokes are the best. Honestly, dad jokes are the best.
Constantly.
Who's John Lemon? Before I
So
continue,
he's like a news anchor from CNN. So imagine like
he's a
really
news
big
anchor from
platform.
CNN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
So
black.
he
He's a
called
black
out.
news anchor. Let's
Yes, that's very important. That's very important. He's a black, middle-aged news anchor, and he called out certain people for not speaking up about it. And Dave Chappelle was like, "I'm not speaking about it because I'm informed by it, and I realized that my voice could hinder the whole situation." So this hand calling out people doesn't realize that people are not just going to start speaking off their ass or off their bum, because I'm not allowed to swear, but people will talk after they're informed, right? And I agree so much. Like, you have no idea the level of agreement I have with Dave Chappelle when he says that, yo, bro, I connect so much with this story. He connects so much with the Black Lives Matter to the extent where we didn't even realize it. But his silence was his action. Before this podcast, we're talking about Le Silence de la Mer, which is the silence of the sea, where the German soldier goes into a French family, and this French family made a pact to ignore this German soldier because he was the enemy, right? But this German soldier decides that even if they ignore me, I'm still going to speak to them. And his speech throughout the whole novel, the fact that he was speaking to them created an impact, which shows that sometimes your actions, even though they might seem unnecessary, are the biggest actions or the most effective actions you can take. And your actions are not determined by what society thinks, but what you feel is the right decision. And that's what these celebrities do. They feel like if I speak, it will create this effect. Dave Chappelle felt that if he spoke, they would have a negative impact. He didn't want to take the power away from the society, but he wanted the power to remain within the society so that they can move. It's not that he wasn't impacted by it, but it's keeping the power where it's supposed to be.
Okay. So Dylan, you think to some extent that celebrities or famous people do have a responsibility with the platforms that they have?
To a certain extent. Depends on the situation. It's all about power.
Okay. Okay, boss, did you have something else to say?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
I mean, I think we should just touch on this respectability politics. I was listening to Sarah Keesley Hall. She did a TEDx, I think, with the University of Texas, and she was talking about respectability politics, and she was defining basically respectability politics as something that is used by minorities to subvert or avert stereotypes that are imposed on them. So you would do the opposite of what the stereotype states. She gives an example. She talks about how she gives an example of how, you know, in America, Black people are expected to play loud music in their vehicles. So respectability politics to her would be her as a Black person. Instead of playing the sound loud, she'll be playing it low and or medium or just reasonable, so that the people don't to stereotype her to be Black, which would be a bad stereotype. She takes this story. She begins it with a poem by, I think it was Tom Dunbar, where he talks about masks and how we all wear masks so that we can function together.
I actually learned this in school. It's called the face negotiation theory, where we all have masks for certain situations.
So we all wear masks for certain situations. I'm not wearing a mask, but you two are wearing masks. I can see them. So yeah. you guys are very fortunate to have me at the Raw, you know what I mean? So but then she then says this. She says that respectability politics is a logical solution to an illogical problem. This is where I then say, like, look, we need respectability politics. Obviously, respectability politics doesn't have to be the only tactic we have to take ourselves out of oppression whenever we're in an oppressed situation. But it helps in the case, for example, of No Name and J. Cole. She could have just texted J. Cole, yo, what's up? Why you quiet, my brother? You know what I mean?
What are you thinking?
Yes, what are you
that's what I was saying,
thinking? Or you even posted J. Cole, what are your thoughts? Instead of going to attack J. Cole through and through, you didn't even know. Perhaps
saying that you're not doing anything. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Perhaps when she was typing tweets, right? J. Cole was also typing Black Lives Matter. Then he saw the tweet before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
Exactly. The first thing she thought was, let me attack this nigga.
Well, okay,
It's the same thing. You remember I don't know if you guys watched the Trevor Noah and this other chick who supported Trump. What's her name?
Candace Owens.
I think so.
Tommy
That
isn't.
honey. Tommy Lawrence.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Tommy
Yeah.
Lawrence, yeah.
Tommy.
No,
There
Tommy
we go.
Lawrence.
That
The white one, the
situation.
white blonde lady.
Same story.
Oh.
Yeah, I was about to say, K-Boss, sometimes, you know how you use your social media, especially Twitter, as an outlet for whatever you're feeling in the moment, right? And this is why people sometimes call it reactionary activism, because you can get so pissed at a particular thing, right? Something's happening, Zimbabwean lives matter. But your celebrities aren't saying anything. The people that usually speak up about stuff, they're not saying anything about Zimbabwean lives. And you're pissed. And you go like, I don't understand what is wrong with you at Ruveneko or at Miss Ray. What's wrong with y'all? Like, come through, right? People do that. And it's reactionary. And I think for me, there's room for reactionary activism, but let's not call it activism. I just think let's call it reactionary outlet. I don't know what. I wouldn't consider it to be activism.
Expression.
And
expression.
expression. Thank you. But for me, and I know it's a problematic stance. And I remember when the No Name and J. Cole thing happened, I asked a friend of mine who I had seen tweeting about tone policing. And I was like, bro, can you explain to me what J. Cole did wrong? Because I didn't see it. I didn't see him tone policing. And even if he was, I didn't think it was out of a malicious place. Sometimes you really have to understand that the people you're speaking to don't get things the way that you do. And they might not have the same rage that you have. And so it's necessary to extend a bit of grace, which is painful, especially if you're part of the oppressed
have the
group.
Same rage, but just not the same reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think sometimes it's really important to extend grace. And I'm going to give an example so that we can sort of understand this more. So we had this Zimbabwean Lives Matter movement taking place on Twitter. And there was I think it's an organization, like a movement of, young Zimbabweans who work on mental health. I forgot what it's called. And people were like, hey, yo, we haven't seen you post about Zimbabwean Lives Matter, but we've seen you post about Black Lives Matter. And that's a problem for us because it's hypocritical, right? And then Miss Red was like, she tweeted and she was like, I don't understand why people are bashing these people. What's the difference? There's a big difference between Black Lives Matter and Zimbabwean Lives Matter. What a reactionary activist, in quotes, could have said would be, Miss Red Vanopenga, brah, like, are you crazy? Don't you see that these things are the same thing? Go and read for yourself. Don't you understand what Black Lives Matter is? Go and read for yourself. That's one end of the spectrum. Another end of the spectrum will say, okay, Miss Red, let me try and explain it to you. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
The first scenario that I gave, people would say, if you told that person who was telling Miss Red to go read for herself to calm down and speak to her nicely, you're tone policing, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, there's two really strong extremes.
Look, I think it's a problem. We have a society that has been built on a political and legal philosophy of individualism, but we are realizing that we can't live in our own separate individuality. We need other people. But at the same time, we are still striving with the idea and the desire of individualism. So
You guys disagree with me when we're talking about Carlton. I said that Zimbabwe is becoming more individualistic. But yeah, continue.
I mean, it's debatable. But then the thing is, look, I want individual rights. I want to do what I want. I want to speak in the tone that I want to speak. I want to dress the way I want to dress. I want to do this. What I want, how I feel matters. But at the same
identify
time,
yourself the way you want to identify yourself.
Exactly. But at the same time, I want to force you to identify the same way I identify. I want to force you to feel my pain. But I'm saying, at the same time, I'm saying, I want to be individual. I want to be who I am meant to be. I want to be the captain of my life, the captain of my ship, the determiner of my destiny. But at the same time, I want to enforce a group narrative and a group identity. Now we have a clash of ideas and a clash of ideologies. And I like to quote Yuval Noah Harari and say, all these problems, most of them come from the fact that we are currently philosophically bankrupt. Most of our philosophies come from the 17th century. You know, we talk about the French Revolution and the principle of fraternity, equality, and liberty.
You love that. You are half French. You love that so much.
Oui, je parle français.
Oui.
So yeah, I mean, that's one of the most interesting issues of today, that we have very, very different desires and expectations that clash, and we want to have our cake and eat it, but we cannot have it and eat it. And there's nothing wrong with good tone policing, because if you're going to come to me and say, look, TK, you're a misogynist, right? Of which I am not in real life. Then you come and you say, TK, you're a misogynist, you're this, and you come and scream in my face. You're not doing anything to convince me. If you're screaming in my face, you're not going to convince me to change. If anything, you're going to make me a hardcore. And so I think the perfect place to use for this example is the United States of America, because in the US they have that approach where you listen to me, they've got this hardcore gang-ho, bravado type of thing when they come and approach
defense thing.
Exactly. You see what Hillary Clinton was saying about Trump supporters, calling them deplorables and stuff like that. People are not going to listen to you. People are not going to listen to you if you call them deplorables. People are not going to listen to you if you call them Nazis. People are not going to listen to you if you call them fascist. We're not going to listen to you, because it doesn't mean if you scream at us, we're going to listen to, oh my gosh, they are screaming at us. No. If anything, we're going to be more hardcore, more determined to quash you, if you know what I mean.
And they thinking that the African parents where they scream, you're gonna get the answer. You know, when you're doing 2 + 2, they go louder. 2 + 2. You're like,
exactly.
No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
Okay, so if it doesn't work like that, how do we do it better?
I always say this, man. Mm-hmm.
How do we make social media activism better? And I know, just like Takunda said a little bit earlier, that it's not as effective as we think it is. This week we're talking Free Palestine. Next week we're talking #Black Lives Matter. The week after that we're talking, #Zimbabwe Lives Matter. And these things sort of expire.
Because so far we've been talking about, what country have we been talking about this week? Is it Eritrea? Yeah. But yeah.
Also Eswatini.
Eswatini.
Yeah. So we come with so much, so much energy.
Also, guys, free Jacob Zuma, please. Free Jacob Zuma.
No.
Free Jacob Zuma. Zuma should not be in prison. I think
my whole thesis was on Jacob Zuma. So I don't know what you're saying.
No. We need to free Jacob Zuma, because Jacob Zuma did not get a free trial. Free and
the lawyer has spoken.
You the lawyer who has sense, Sharon, please.
We'll talk about that one on a different day. Yes. So my question is, number one, if we can see that social media activism kind of ends at an awareness level, it's just raising awareness. That's how I see it. Sometimes we do get results, but that's rarely. right? The people that we need to get attention, whose attention we need to get, we're not getting. We're getting the attention of maybe celebrities, maybe some famous people, but not the people who actually do the action. They're looking at us thinking, these lighties, they're back at it again. So
Exactly.
in raising awareness or in advocating for something, if we say that, tone policing is sometimes justified, and I don't want to call it tone policing, but how then do we make it better? How do we make it more effective without losing the message through respectability politics?
Okay.
I mean, I think it all comes down to your approach. You need to be smart about it, particularly if you're leading the movement. You need to speak the people's language. That is the best way to go about it. You need to speak their language. Once you start speaking their language, you'll get through to them. Because, like I was said before, if you come and shout at us, we're not going to listen to you. If you go to America, for example, it's a straight business country. Their culture there is, hi, how are you? This is why I'm here. A 1, 2, 3, da da da. We go, we shake hands, we sign the deal, we're gone. But if you go to places like India, people need to form a relationship with you. They need to know how your mother feels. They need to know where are you from, type of thing. So speak the people's language. That is how you get through to people, not by shouting at them.
Yeah. As an add-on to that, social media, basically Sharon's question was about social media and its impact. Where do we go after social media and after the hashtags, which is a very important question. I think people forget the foundation or the basis of social media. From social media, what happens afterwards? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. What is the purpose of hashtag activism? Hashtag BLM. That was a good, in my opinion, that was an amazing type of hashtag. Why? Because people were hashtagged and they went into the streets to march for that hashtag. So they reached all the target audience. They reached the audience that is on social media. They reached the audience that is not on social media as well, the older generation, as well as the younger generation. The problem with the hashtag Zimbabwean Lives Matter is that it ended with the netizens. That's where it ended. It ended with Zimbabweans online. Are we talking to my mother?
Did you call them the netizens?
Yes, I did.
I like
That's
it.
what
Yeah,
they are.
I like
That's what they are.
Because
On the interwebs.
internet netizens, I like it.
Netizens. So it ended with the netizens. Did my mother know about the movement? No. Did your grandfather know about the movement? No. Why? Because only on the internet. Let us all get involved. I think I said this in the past. I don't know how many episodes we've done now, but I've always said this. The only way you can move forward is conversation. And conversation is not just about talking, it's about understanding. If our elders and our adults are able to understand exactly what we mean and exactly where we are going and where we're coming from, then if we form a unity, we can move forward. The day or the time Mugabe was removed from power, right? That was because of the unity that Zimbabweans had from not only race, but age as well. You had the youth, you had the elders as well moving. The majority of the elders are not on social media because in Zimbabwe, social media is only or mostly by the youth, right? But it started from there, which transferred into the older generations who are not on social media. And therefore, we moved forward and we moved on. People connected. If we're going to be honest with ourselves, you have segmentations in Zimbabwe where you have the white society, you have the colored society, you have the black society, you have the Indian society, the Chinese society. I'm talking about Zimbabweans that I know that make up the population, right? And all these people live in different worlds. If you're able to connect all these worlds, it doesn't only work online, it works offline as well. If we're able to do that, then we can make an impact. Then we can make a difference. But if we're going to keep it online, won't go anywhere. It will just end as a hashtag because the internet. Because what happened when we were trying to remove Mugabe? They switched off the internet. That was it. Rato pererai papo, bra. Like we don't move forward from there. That's it.
Yeah.
But now if
Yeah.
it transfers and becomes a thing where we all engage in, where the people from the rural areas, no matter what class, no matter what race, no matter where we come from, it becomes a one unity thing. We move forward and we create a movement where we can make a difference.
Okay. I agree with a lot of what you and Takunde have said. For me, I think it largely boils down to what's the purpose of your expression or your communication. If your goal is to react and express how you feel about a particular movement or a particular injustice, sure, use whatever tone you want to have. But if your goal is to gain allies, to raise awareness, to advocate for something, you're gonna have to, in some cases, alter the tone you use to accommodate the people you're speaking to. That's just how it works. That's how it works in real life. Sometimes social media makes us act as though, we're desensitized from human beings. In real life, if you, Dylan, and I, we have a fight, and you come to me and you start shouting at me and screaming at me with capital letters personified, I'm not listening to you. That's just how it works. Speak to me like I'm human. So if the goal is advocacy, if it's activism, then let's have proper dialogue, especially with people we don't agree with. It just so happens that us three sometimes agree with each other. Sometimes we don't, but most times, it's really amicable. I would encourage having conversations with people that you don't agree with and people whose life philosophy and ideologies are completely different from yours. But, I used to be all about social media activism as well. I posted a lot. #Zimbabwean Lives Matter. I posted so much. And when I look back at it,
Didn't you create a post at one point in time?
I created a poster, Shamad. And I'm not even a graphic
Beautiful
designer.
poster, by the way.
I went all out, hey. I was so livid. And that's sometimes reactionary, right? You're not really thinking through what is going to be the chain of causation from here onwards. Yeah. And looking back at it, I don't see where that took us. I don't see where that took us apart from awareness. More people learned about it. Sometimes awareness leads to other things.
It was what you call it,
ENCA. My poster was on flipping ENCA, you people.
Yeah.
Yes,
you put a celebrity in the house.
What it do, baby?
24-hour news. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's where it ended. We are still going through it. So that hurts. And I can understand why sometimes people react with such aggression because it really hurts. It really hurts. Dylan, do you have anything to say? I think I saw you put your hand up. Okay, cool.
No.
Yeah, so that's about it for today. I know the conversation was a lot. Takunda and No Name are not homies, so that's likely to get heated. But really, really, really do recommend you guys to go watch 846, Dave Chappelle's special. Yes, really good. And above all, inform yourself before you just hop onto a hashtag or post another infographic. Inform yourself. Have conversations outside of those things. And yeah, that's it for today's episode. Dylan's going to do a thing with us before we end, and then we're done.
Why are you giving spoilers about what I'm going to do, Sharon?
You're going to do a thing with us.
I was going to surprise, I'm coming in. Who did you? For those who are listening, I only had 1 cup of vodka, but I'm good. I'm good. I heard it's a family show, so I'm not supposed to be saying stuff like that. But
you really are the drunk uncle at the bar.
Uncle, not that I'm drunk. But in all seriousness, thank you so much for those who have listened. We hope you've really learned a lot. Of course, you're expecting us in the next fortnight, in the next 2 weeks. Our socials are always going to be there. We're always going to be interactive. Ask what you want to ask. Talk to us about what you want to talk about. give us suggestions for topics. That'll be very interesting as well. You can find us individually. Everyone is a stalker in this day and age, so I'm not going to give you our handles one by one. But you can
Thank you. I was about to stop you right there.
You'll find Sharon, you'll find me, you'll find Jagunda, and you'll find us, and you just message us your topics or something that you disagreed with, something that you agreed with, a conversation that you wanted to have. And we'll talk about it. We'll have conversations. Like we always say, I think it's becoming a motto for all three of us, where conversation is a movement or is the way forward. I think that's our topic that's our motto for the week. Yeah. Conversation is the way forward. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Follow us on our socials, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, wherever we'll be, we'll share it. And again, thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Yo.